go. I want to talk about some Grails here because I've been waiting a long time for this. Jeff, it's happened. A book that I've been hunting for over 9 years. I'm talking about when I was at the bank working at Wells Fargo, the horses and the carriages and all that, right? I rose through the ranks. I became a teller, then I became a banker, then an assistant manager, then an assistant to the manager, and then store manager. You like that Dwight quote? All right, so what we have is a book that has been on my saved search eBay listing. Like, you can save search and you'll be alerted when it comes up since 2011. That's right.
It's 10 years, man. It's
about a decade. Yeah, just about a decade. So back when I was a banker, all right, this is years before I even had an Instagram posting comic books, I was searching for books. I was searching for one in particular, and this book is here today, Jeff. Here it is. We have the Great Salt Lake Comic Convention 1991 pamphlet in the house, at the table, in the Guru's Manos. It's here, Comic Fam. Can you please explain to them what you're looking at?
Yeah, this, like you mentioned, this is a Comic-Con program.
That's right.
For the Utah Great Salt Lake Convention. I don't know the character on it, but I do know its importance as you have wanted one for as long as I've known you. Am I allowed to take it out?
You take it out, man. Do your thing, man.
Man.
You be the guru. Take a look at the tick on the back. Not spine tick. I'm talking about the tick art. Fantastic. But on the inside, page 13, that's what you're looking for, brother.
Dr. Volt and the tick. I don't know a Dr. Volt. This looks like a broke-ass cable on the front cover, but...
So describe the size. What are you looking at? It's blue.
It's big. This is magazine size about.
It fits in a magazine bag and board, barely. Like it rides right up on the edge. I have a clear backer protecting this bad boy. I've been hunting for it for a while, Comic Fam. It wasn't cheap.
Man, Grails rarely are, man.
But tell me about Grails, man, because when Grails come, you gotta grab it. You may never see it again.
I'll tell you this right now. I live by one phrase when it comes to certain Grails that you rarely get an opportunity to own because they are a rare opportunity. Sometimes it crosses your path. It's sometimes you got to buy today's books at tomorrow's prices.
Today's books at tomorrow's prices, Comic Fam. There's your quote from the Golden Age Guru, and you're not wrong. This book has the first prototype of Hellboy in its pages. Mike Mignola, get it right. The G is silent. He's Italian. He was invited to this convention. He was asked to create something special, something original for the interior of this pamphlet that was just given out and largely thrown away. And he had an idea. He wanted to draw this monster, this demon. But he had this thought, what a cool name I can put on the belt. And what does that belt say, Jeff?
It says Hellboy.
That's right. It says Hellboy. This was the first time that he put on paper this original character, regardless of how much he doesn't look like Big Red. At this point in time, this was the first conception of it. And it would hit this page and, as mentioned, be tossed away at the convention and afterwards. And then years and years would pass. And eventually, with Hellboy becoming a prominent, independent comic book hero, collectible, movie after movie after movie, regardless of how you feel about David Arbor, it still happened. This collectible eluded independent collectors, like indie collectors, Hellboy collectors, Mignola collectors, and myself for quite a long time. There were only two in my search that I have come across. One was on eBay. Someone had it in the background, displayed next to the stuff that they actually listed in the listing. I reached out to the person and said, yo, is that what I think it is? And he said, yes, it is, but I won't send you pictures because I'm worried about it being counterfeit because it's so rare. I'll never forget what he told me. This item that he owned at the time, and this is years and years ago, he told me, this may be the rarest independent collectible that exists. So, years would go by. I would hunt. I would look. I would ask Jeff. I would ask all my friends, all my dealers. Shout out Gus in New York, man. I would ask everybody I could find, hey, if you get a lead on this pamphlet, Salt Lake City Comic Con 1991, I gotta have it. And none came up. None. Except for one that came and went on eBay for $5,000. You hear how many like bombs I'm dropping now? Because this Grail, that's how much this means to me. That's like, it's crazy that this is at the table right now, because that book that sold for $5,000 over a year and a half ago made press. It was on Bleeding Cool. It made multiple trending lists, including our own. I had to give it its time on the mic because the person who bought it reached out to me. He's like, yo, Tom, I just want to get to you before you see eBay. And I want to let you know you had no chance. That's what he told me. He knew how much I wanted this book, and he wanted me to feel better about knowing that I could have never gotten it, because he knew it was coming to market. And the person told him, I'm going to list it today. And he literally waited on his phone. He waited for the second that it came up, saw the price for $5,000, clicked buy it now, and it was done. Then he texted me, reached out, because he's another Hellboy collector. And us Hellboy collectors, we're homies. You know, when you collect the same stuff, shout out Illust Illuminati, who's a longtime Hellboy collector. I've known him longer than we had the Comictom intro that he did. That's him. You know, he wrote that rap, you know everything. So this book is the same copy that sold a year and a half ago on eBay for $5,000. The seller reached out to me, said there was other artwork that he was prioritizing, that he wanted more than this, and he wanted to give me the first opportunity to buy it. And what did I say?
Hell yeah, I'll take it.
Hell yeah. And now it's here.
This is pretty great, man. Like I said, I know, because I know you, and I know how long you've longed for this book. It's amazing that it's finally in your grasp. And really, you didn't have to wait that much longer, which is nice, because sometimes it can go on to decades. I know people have been waiting for the right book to cross their path. That's why sometimes you have to pay up, okay, to get that book. So this is awesome to even have in hand, because all I've heard is just you describing it. But to see this Hellboy, who looks more like a Hell Man on this thing.
A little bit.
He's got a little bit of a Ulick look to him. But it's super cool. And then he's got a little blurb here by Mike Mignola, just discussing himself. Being pretty modest, I'm assuming, because he even has a quote here. It says, after a year of inking, in parentheses, he writes, I was a bad artist, he claims. So, like, he's modest, it sounds like. And that's just great to see in an artist, especially somebody of his level. So kudos, man.
Thank you.
Absolute kudos.
So since I have this in studio for the comic fam to bear witness to one of the very few occasions that this is going to even be seen on screen, because like the first owner of this book that I had found on eBay years past, the recent owner of this particular copy, I don't know if this is the same one as that other one. Like, I don't know if there was a connection there. I think it's a different copy. The seller who sold this to me said the same thing. Don't post pictures of this on the internet out of fear for counterfeits to be made. This is something that you deal with. The spiral edition of 30 Days a Night that I just showcased to the community, I could only show a couple pages because it's not a book that's been authenticated by CGC or CBCS, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, because those grading companies can only authenticate things that they've seen and that they've authenticated, right? And the spiral edition, there was rumors that it didn't even exist. There were rumors that there are under 7 copies. I've heard 6, I've heard 10, but only 3 in the marketplace, 2 that I bear witness to in my lifetime that have come to the market of this particular collectible. There are likely under 10 in existence of this. There are likely under 10 in existence of the Spiral 30 Days a Night edition, which for those reasons, the grading companies don't touch them unless you can convince them and you have some type of documentation. We're working on it, comic fam. However, these particular books are so rare that they're having the gobbledygook effect. You know, there are counterfeits of that book in existence because of how valuable they are, how scarce they are, and how easily they are to replicate.
Yeah, you can say the same thing with Cerebus 1, right? It's another book that you got to be careful with for just having counterfeit issues. And it's unfortunate. We got to deal with that. And we're seeing people take advantage of these things. We're seeing people take advantage of just reprints. I mean, look at Ultimate Fallout 4.
Yeah, we're seeing some members on the community doing other members of real solid posting about the shenanigans happening that we all knew was coming, because these facsimiles, they look so damn good. They look so similar. But if you don't know the telltale signs of a reprint, because I would consider a facsimile a reprint, all it takes is a member to put first print in the title. First print facsimile, right? Like, okay, we're now in X-Files territory. Yeah. It's no good. And we're seeing like hundreds of dollars going, into sellers' hands for a reprint that's worth at most maybe double cover price, maybe if you're lucky.
Exactly. So that also shows the people who are in this hobby who are trusting it, but aren't quite educated enough, and they actually do need the assistance of other people and other members. We got to all understand that. I remember when I was looking for Star Wars 1s, and I was a young kid, right? Every time you saw a 35 center, you're like, oh my God, this is it.
I got it.
This is the rare 35 center.
I'm going to retire now.
And you're like, oh my God, it's not the correct diamond pattern or the one with the barcode, It's
the 5 is a little down.
So it's just a little bit of the naivete to people coming into it and understanding it, and then people taking advantage of that. So that's not okay, and it's important that people do speak up.
Absolutely. Comic Fam, I want to hear your thoughts about my Grail in the comment section below. I mentioned it, the same thing with the 30 Days a Night. I'm a particular collector, but I hope that this right here can showcase a little bit of reasoning behind things like preview appearances, real first appearances. Some would call it true first appearances. The Hulk 180 versus 181 versus, the Foom appearance. These types of things matter to collectors. It matters to me, which is why this Grail was acquired and why I'm so hyped about it to bring it to your attention today.